some of the property owners, properties that have been brought down, are actually third or fourth owners of the land on which they have erected their properties. Madam Speaker, the question that the mover of this motion has put on the floor of this House is a question that all of us must exercise our minds on as we debate this motion. Where was the government when people put up their houses on that land? Where was the government when schools were being constructed in this place? Madam Speaker, people don't register their schools. Schools are registered by governments. How did government register schools in this area? How did government even make some of these schools examination centers for exams that are supposed to be beginning next week? Madam Speaker, where was government when churches were being built on this land? It is the responsibility of government to register churches. Madam Speaker, without putting unnecessary emotion into this debate, I think, Madam Speaker, a time has come that people's legs must be held on fire until the truth comes out. What is the urgency in reacquiring this land for the cement factory? Why would we throw out our own people, Kenyan citizens, children, women, in the cold at a time like this when the El Nino rains have just set in, just because we want land to revert to a cement factory? What is it that the cement factory wants to do with the land today that we could not help and go through a process of reacquiring this land? Madam Speaker, I stand here as a leader from that region, but as I speak, Madam Speaker, let it be known by both sides of the divide that the people who have suffered and continue to suffer in those demolitions are not necessarily exclusively people from the Lower Eastern region. In fact, we have communities from all over the country who had settled on that land. People who have taken loans, bank loans, to construct their buildings. People who have taken loans to invest in private schools. People, Madam Speaker, who have taken years to build churches in those areas, and overnight, all that investment, all that property has been flattened, and these people are supposed to run to government for recourse. But unfortunately, it is the government that is doing this.
Honorable Senator, your time is up. Senator Boni Khalwale.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's very unfortunate that we are here where we are. As we witness a humanitarian crisis unfold in the Gaza, in the Middle East, purely for the reasons that you know. Little did we know that we would have also a humanitarian crisis unfolding here at home, at MAVOKO. I want to thank Senator Kavindu, the mover, and the seconder, Senator Sifuna, and Senator Wambua. You've spoken maturely. You have raised the issue for us, even as we uphold the rule of law, whereby we are obeying court orders, evictions must be done legally and with a humane face. What's the big deal? If the courts have agreed that the owner of this property is Portland and people have settled there illegally, let them go away. But let it be done procedurally and with a human face. That's all we are saying. Honorable members, I remember when I was in this parliament in 2004, we were faced with a similar problem when 100,000 people had to be evacuated from the Mau forest. Again, in 2011, when I was in this parliament, we witnessed thousands of people being evicted from Syokimau. And the threat is the same, that business people, political people, they create cartels, con unsuspecting members of the public, they buy land which does not belong to these conmen, and then, as Wambu has said, they are second, third, fourth generation buyers. They're the ones who face this brand. We must say no. The people in Syokimau were warned repeatedly that you are putting up houses in the flight path to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. They couldn't listen. Similarly, the people in the Mau, hundreds of thousands, were warned that this is an environmental water tower. They couldn't listen because they thought they were protected by the rich people who gave them that land or the politicians who sent them there. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I tell this republic of ours, if we want to lead this country, we must hold each other. The weak, they be held by you, the strong ones. As in the government side, we hold hands with those in the opposition side when a matter requires that we close ranks. The people who are perpetrators of this con game must be pursued to its logical conclusion. And they are known. As I speak today, Boniface Sunguti Ichingwa, son of Ichingwa from Malinya, has sent me a message here that, Uncle, while you are away in Malinya, we have slept in the rain. He had bought such a land, he had put up property there. A young person, aged round about 29, 30, 31 years. These are the people we are supposed to protect. I hope when the president comes, he has taken step one, he has complied with a court order. We want to tell him that we are behind him to respect court orders, but we want to urge him to prevail upon agencies that manage eviction and settlement of people to do it in a humane way. Doing anything else, we either cease to be Kenyans or we become animals. Really? That somebody registered a primary school on land that did not exist? And I have registered 23 secondary schools which I built in Ekolomani. And I know the process of registration is rigorous. Who was doing these things unless it is a cartel?
Honorable Senator, time up. Senator Manzo Daniel Kitonga.
And thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important matter. Madam Speaker, other than this suit which has been concluded, there is another suit pending which will be determined about the same land in November, and I believe the same will not follow. The truth of the matter is the moment Portland acquired the land, and the moment the land lease expired, and the moment what Portland was doing there, which was mining, was over, the land was supposed to revert back to the community. And the current status is that it has to go back also partly and co-owned by the county government of Machakos, which is the trustee. And therefore, it doesn't automatically go to the national government or automatically go back to the Portland company. And therefore, what has happened with this particular court order, Machakos County government had not been served. And instead of waiting for that or the judge giving an opportunity, which happens, this ruling was arrived at through technicalities. And I also believe that some people were waiting for this. And as soon as that happened, people were very quick, you know, and agencies were very quick to run and evict. Instead of waiting for their cries and or giving reasonable time for these people to appeal, and then failure of appeal, then the matter would have been different. But that notwithstanding, there is something called an adverse possession of land. And that's why the Constitution says, and also the Fair Administration Act, says that you cannot no longer now, under the new Constitution, determine and conclude a matter fully on technicalities. You must hear all the parties. And in this case, all the parties have not been heard. And even the issue of adverse possession, of which these people have been here for over 12 years, has not been heard and determined. And therefore, whatever has happened is vitiated by politicians. That is very true. Statements have been made by different politicians regarding this particular land. There are quite a number of highly connected people involved, and the idea is not to give this land back to Portland or give it for any other purpose allocated, which is the work of the Land Commission. The idea is to grab this land and take it for their personal interests, having taken it away from others. And even if this was to be for industry, even if it was to be for the housing project, these people had already done housing. I'm aware that Portland have a debt with the KCB. Even if it was for a debt with the KCB, there should have been notice of 90 days. And upon giving notice of 90 days, people would have negotiated. Say, fine, if the land doesn't belong to us, can we then raise money and pay KCB so that now we can know what to do for the land? Or can we then pay for the land so that we can be able to occupy it? And for the information of this house, there are many other thousands of acres of land in that area which are going to be mined and are going to be left vacant. So for all purposes and intent, that will still have covered any purposes the government or any other agency would have wanted to do so in future, but not to evict the people in an inhumane way, destroy their properties. They fail to have a human face. I don't think that's what government is. Government has a human face. And that's why we politicians go to the people and are servants of the people. We should hear the cries of the people. So the ones who damage and destroy the properties, I am very sure the Court of Appeal is going to revisit this, and there is going to be substantive hearing at the Court of Appeal while the houses are down and the people have been evicted, the churches have been destroyed. I think from what I've seen, even a mosque was constructed in my village, a place called Kadonzweni, irregularly on public land without consultation. But even after the Muslim community who had done that left the area, up to today nobody has touched that mosque. It is respected. Nobody else can go and destroy that mosque. You must respect places of worship because they are sanctified, and all this land we are fighting about belong to God. It doesn't belong to a particular individual. So I believe when we finally go to the Court of Appeal, and I'm sure the parties involved are very busy filing, and also we have this other ruling we are waiting in November. I hope it is also not going to be ruled on technicalities, and I'm sure the judicial officer dealing with it has seen the outcome of a court decision, barely on technicalities, looking machinized, looking not usual. You know, justice must be seen to be done. Justice cannot be managed through cartels.
Time up, Senator Karungo Thangwa.